Hi, I'm Vito LaBella, running for Senate in the 26th District. First off, I want to thank everybody for the positive feedback I've been receiving for the previous videos and for the suggestions. I was told to lose the suit jacket, to be more cash. That's what this is. I thought about not shaving, but I just couldn't do it. Baby steps and all. And also, I want to thank people for suggesting topics. Let's just jump right into it. I was asked to speak on the bill on mandated sex education in K-12 that was co-sponsored by my opponent, Andrew Gennard. No teleprompter. I'm just going to go through this. We're going to speak about it for a few minutes, and then please leave any comments down below or hit me up on social media or contact me any way you'd like, and we can have a conversation about it. This is his bill that he put forth in January 21 of 2021. It's S2584-A, and basically it mandates education, comprehensive sexuality education in K-12 schools, all public and charter schools in New York State. What does this entail? Let's talk about it. A model curricula for comprehensive sexuality education in grades kindergarten through 12, including exemplar lesson plans, instructional tools and materials, best practice instructional resources suitable to a student age based on cognitive, emotional, behavioral capacity. Sounds good, right? Except here, listen to this. And at a minimum conforms to the content and scope of national sexuality education standards. National sexuality education standards. That's very important because there's going to be a lot of verbiage in this bill and a lot of talk that sounds like it's very reasonable and a lot of consensus building, but everything goes back to this one line in here that says that whatever else happens, whatever else they decide to do, it has to conform to the National Sexuality Education Standards. So let's just remember that. This bill goes on and it talks about in developing these programs, and they talk about the education commissioner is going to be the lead person and with conferring with the health commissioner. Makes sense so far. And it says that the commissioner shall seek the recommendations of a broad range of experts, and they talk about teachers, certified in health, biology, family, consumer science, early childhood education, certified licensed social workers, nurses, administrators, school board, parent-teacher association members, others with educational experience. It really sounds reasonable, they want to get everybody's voice, everybody has a seat at the table, except it always goes back to, and I have experience with this because I was on the Community Education Council for 4 years, 2 terms, and everything we did was advisory, right? Everything is advisory. The Commissioner of Education is going to seek the recommendations of all of these people, but it's still, what? It has to conform to the National Sexuality Education Standards, okay? And I'm going to go on and on. It says it goes into effect the July of the year that it's passed, and then after the second year, it says here, effective date of this section is necessary. Thereafter, the commissioner shall conduct a review. He shall conduct a review, and necessary thereof, the commissioner shall conduct a review of district implementation to monitor compliance. So everybody after 2 years has to comply with whatever it is that the Commissioner of Education has put forth, and it's based upon that National Education Sexuality Standards thing, right? So again, if the commissioner puts forth something and a community doesn't like it, maybe a school board someplace doesn't like it, it's very reasonable, right? Because that school board and that trustee shall establish a process getting all of the stakeholders together. They can get together and they could get an alternative curricula. That's great, an alternative curricula, except the school or trustees of the district shall determine the curriculum and content of the program within that school district and shall be responsible for the evaluation of the program within the district and ensuring the program conforms in content and scope to the comprehensive sexuality education program as established by the commissioner. Hey, you don't like the program that the commissioner put forth? That's okay. You could do your own and you could present it to us and you'll be good to go as long as it conforms to the content and the scope of the comprehensive sexuality education program established by said commissioner. So all of this consensus, all of this, we're going to listen to all the stakeholders thing, that's just all nonsense. That's all nonsense. And that's the biggest thing I want to get over. When we talk about this, we're talking about the state legislature and the governor, this law will take away all power from parents, and they will give it to who? Who is writing the national sexuality education standards? You have to do some research to find out, and I did it so you don't have to. Here it is here. Here is I went to the site and I downloaded the big PDF. It's probably over 100 pages. And I'm picking some individual stuff here that we could talk about. The people who wrote the National Sex Education Standards, core skills, there's 4 main groups. One is the Future of Sex Education Initiative, FOSE, in partnership with Advocates for Youth, ANSWER, and SICUS. Now, SICUS is Sex Ed for Social Change. Okay, this is the Advocates for Youth. That's a youth group. ANSWER promotes unfettered access to sexuality education. And it's interesting that they don't say sex education. They say sexuality education, right? Because sexuality education is much broader than strictly sex education and biology and puberty and all that. It could be anything, and it really is anything too, if you look into the nitty gritty of what they are really trying to get across to the children in kindergarten to 12th grade. And it's interesting because the Sex Ed for Social Change people, SICUS people who wrote this standards thing, let me read you what they advocate for, and I'm going to just read, through policy, advocacy, education, and strategic communications, SICUS advances sex education as a vehicle for social change, working toward a world where all people can access and enjoy their own sexual and reproductive freedom. Really, this is their main goal, and all of these groups are on the same page with that. So everything that they're promoting is not based upon getting simple facts to the kids, right? It's not just that. It's really about a broader agenda. And I have I'll talk to you about really the earliest grades, right? So it's kindergarten to 2, and then grades 3 to 5. They break it down. Here's a little chart that I downloaded from their site. And some of the stuff is okay, right? It's probably a best practice. For example, using anatomically correct body parts. Kim and I did that with our boys. When Kim was pregnant with Morgan, we sat them down. We said that mommy was pregnant with a baby. They were going to have a little sister, and the baby was growing in mommy's uterus, right? What that looks like in kindergarten is Billy's so excited because his mom is going to have a baby. He's going to have a baby sister, and he says, Mommy has a baby in her stomach. And then the teacher, as a best practice, can say something like, oh, that's so exciting, little Billy. Food goes into his stomach. Mommies have a special place to grow babies. It's called the uterus, right? And that's all it has to be. It doesn't have to be this big curricula. It shouldn't really be incorporated into the day. It could just be a best practice for the kids when it comes up, right? I think that's the way it really should be, and we shouldn't be giving our authority away to some group that's really nebulous and has a larger agenda than just giving our kids information. So that's that. And in the later grades, they just get, if I was going to say anything, I would say that everything that they want to do is just a little bit too much for the grades they want to do it for. Everything is just slightly age inappropriate. For example, they talk about grades 3 to 5. And here's another thing they do. They say by the end of 5th grade, students should be able to do that, right? So it doesn't mean in 5th grade we're going to cover the topics that they're talking about here, which is, I'm taking it from their site, romantic and sexual feelings, masturbation, mood swings, timing of puberty onset, so on and so forth. So they're going to start talking about that in 3rd grade, at least. And to be honest, nothing precludes them from starting to talk about these topics whenever they like, right? Because it's all, the wording that they use is by the end of. So that means it tells you when they should learn it, but it doesn't tell you when you can start teaching it. And that's intentional. It's intentionally vague. It's intentional left like that, so that if they could do whatever they want, and they could just point to the law and says, it's in the law that we can do this. Right? That's what they want to do. And I want to go back to the law for 1 second, because there's really something that really bothered me about this. Within the law, there's an article that says that parents can actually, a parent or guardian of a student may elect for a student not to participate in select lessons regarding HIV/AIDS prevention. Provided, however, that the process shall require written notice, yada, yada, yada. Why are we giving parents an opt-out specifically for HIV/AIDS prevention? Parents should be able to opt out for anything that they don't like about a specific curriculum. But to target HIV and AIDS, that seems like, that's a throwback to the homophobic 80s when people thought that just gay men got AIDS, right? Gay men, intravenous drug users, and Haitians. Haitians have been put upon for a very long time. And back in the 80s, we blamed them for HIV, which was totally wrong. Yeah, why is that there? They talk about transgender issues, gender conformity, and very progressive items, but they really are very, not even conservative, it's just anachronistic, where we talk about opting out kids from HIV/AIDS prevention. This is everyday life, right? First responders are told that any bodily fluids you come into contact with, you might be subjected to HIV, hepatitis, other diseases, and you have to take reasonable precautions. It seems silly. I don't know why it's in there. I don't think there would be a big pushback to get rid of it. First off, this whole law is just flawed, right? We were going to do something. If we were going to do a law that mandates sex ed, and I don't think that there's a necessity for that, I think that it would be limited to 6 to 12, not K to 12, and it would be we're not going to give our rights as parents and educators and school boards, we're not going to give it away to some nebulous group. No, it would be the school boards, the Department of Education, the regents will confer with a variety of groups, and consensus with the stakeholders will establish a curriculum that basically is what the community wants to do. Right? And that's the way it would be if, in fact, we need to do a law like this at all. But I just thought it was interesting. Let me know what you think. If you want to discuss a topic, or if you want me to address an issue that you want to know where I stand on something, then do me a favor. Just drop me a DM, send me an email. I'm Vito LaBella. Thank you for listening, and I appreciate your time.